Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone, to the show. It's great to have you here today on this Wellness and Weight Loss Wednesday, where we are taking you through the toxic versus safe cookware for your kitchen. Very important topic that I want to go through with you today. Many questions have come in over the years as to what are the best utensils to use: spatulas, pans, stones, aluminum versus nonstick, Teflon, cast iron, you name it. We'll be going through all of those today. And honestly, it is a really important topic because if you are cooking on the wrong cookware, you are potentially leaching cadmium, aluminum, nickel, lead, and other toxic metals into your food, really unbeknownst to you, because we're talking at microscopic base levels, but over time, it's been proven to cause damage to children, to adults, potentially leading to diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's, as well as issues with even unborn children. So I want to go through all of this today. Honestly, it's an easy one-for-one replacement. And if you haven't already replaced some of these pans, then the nice thing to do is maybe every couple months or for the holidays, that's what you can do. You can ask for those for gifts from friends and family. So let's get started. I want to go through some of the most toxic ones first, and they are always going to be all of the non-stick based pans. So, you might say, well, those are the best ones because they're the easiest to clean. And you're absolutely correct, right? They're the most convenient. So we're always all about convenience, and convenience sells. The problem is whether it's hard plastics and non-stick pans and all of these other types of things, these great cleaners and all these artificial scents, they're all toxic. Now, the problem with toxicity is that for the most part, it never causes damage that very first time. It is years of essentially exposure to them that builds up in the body that leads to the overflowing of the rain barrel that we call total toxic load, and eventually comes out as whatever your genetic predisposition is to disease. So we never think about the Alzheimer's or the cancer or the autoimmune issues or the mood-based issues or the learning disabilities related to any of the toxicities in our environment. But it is absolutely the case. And cookware are one of those things, especially if you're using them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, think about that, how many meals are cooked on these. And for the average family, a lot of them are breakfast and dinner. So what I want to do is I want to take you through them really quick. But again, I never want to provide you with just the doom and gloom and what to watch out for if I'm not going to give you a really good alternative. And that's it. And again, these are researched, clean, great items that you can, again, use with your family. So what I'm going to do is go through all of these. All the links will be available at stephencabral.com/1720. That's where all the show notes are today. So here's what we need to know. First, let's look at non-stick pans. All right. So although banned in 2015, many people are still using Teflon. And it's kind of crazy because the Mayo Clinic came out 15 years ago and said that Teflon was one of the top 10 carcinogens, meaning top 10 chemicals in the environment or chemicals in our homes that could lead to cancer. And that is because they are coated with what's called PFOAs. And that stands for, if you want to impress all of your friends at parties, it stands for perfluorooctanoic acid. So perfluorooctanoic acid. And also, there are PTFEs. I'll tell you why I'm mentioning these in just a moment, because you always want to make sure that your new pans are free of these two things, and good companies will state right up front they are free of PFOAs and free of PTFEs, and PTFE stands for polytetrafluoroalkyl polytetrafluoroethylene. And these are, again, two man-made chemical compounds that, yes, allow for that convenient non-stick pan, but the truth is it's just not worth it, right? That juice is not worth the squeeze because, yes, it might save you a few minutes, but what happens is over time, and especially with high heat or scraping that with a spatula, microscopic particles come into the food. And then what happens is you absorb them into your body and they take a long time, if ever, to be detoxified from your body because your body was not equipped or meant to deal with this level of man-made toxin. So it's really, really important. When I talk about the 77,000 plus man-made chemicals in the environment, especially here in the United States, you have to understand is that we know that at least 50% of those can cause cancer. So this is just one more of those that may lead down that rabbit hole of potentially causing a lot of toxic buildup in the body. So we have to get rid of these non-stick pans and be really cautious for any pan that says non-stick, because they also started using something called titanium dioxide. And titanium dioxide, although less toxic than the PFOAs or the PTFEs, is still toxic in its own right, especially, again, cooking at high temperatures and used over a long period of time. Microscopic dosages, hasn't been shown to be carcinogenic, but if you're cooking in that day in and day out, scraping that pan, it's not advisable. It's really something that I just can't get behind. So the nice thing is that we have alternatives. So a lot of times what people move over to is, okay, I'm just going to use a good quality aluminum pan because aluminum pans are really light, right? They're easy to use, easy to clean. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's the next step. But the problem is this. Aluminum pans, although light and although heat up quickly and heat up evenly, you can scrape those pans over time, and again, especially at high heat or acidic-based foods, and then it can begin to leach that aluminum into your food. And go back. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this much easier for you. Head over to stevencabral.com/podcasts, and I don't have it right in front of me, but I did a podcast on the dangers of aluminum and where to watch for it in your antiperspirants, your cookware, aluminum foil, etc. Tap water. Here's why it's so important. Because we don't know if aluminum we don't know if aluminum leads to Alzheimer's, but we at least know that it's one of the contributing factors, okay? We also know that aluminum is an inflammatory-based heavy metal that the body is not supposed to accumulate. And again, we're not talking about mass dosages at one time. We're talking about just over time in your antiperspirants, the aluminum foils that you cook in, the aluminum pans, the aluminum spatulas, the tap water that you drink. All of these things may contain aluminum. And over time, those parts per billion begin to add up. And again, since your body's not supposed to be consuming this much aluminum, well, then it could lead to inflammatory-based autoimmune issues, Alzheimer's, potentially cancer, who knows? So the goal is to stay away from those as much as possible. So I know that it's inconvenient, but we need to check off our list. Aluminum pans and aluminum spatulas while we're at it. Aluminum foil. Again, for aluminum foil, I've talked about this in different podcasts. That's not really what today is about. Use parchment paper. It's easy to use. You can buy the non-toxic, non-bleached form of parchment paper, and it works great. So you can absolutely use that as well. And then for the Teflon pans, for the non-stick pans, let's be really suspect of those. Some of them now are switching more to a silicon dioxide, far less toxic. So if you have to go that route, definitely move more towards that. But I'm about to give you now much healthier, cleaner versions. And so that's what I want to bring you right now. So I have about 5 or 6 different varieties, depending on how you want to call this. But what I want to look at is this. The first and foremost on my list is the enameled cast iron. All right. So these first two I like, but don't love. Okay. So let me share with you this. Enameled cast iron is good. It really is. It's a good product. The problem is high heat, a lot of scrubbing, cooking a lot of acidic-based foods may lead to lead and cadmium contamination leaching into your food, okay? And here's why. This is not going to be the case with all enameled cast iron. So I just want to state that up front. If that product has been tested, and I'm going to link them up for you here today. So I'm going to give you the ones that have been tested. But if that enameled cast iron has been tested and has been shown to be free of cadmium, high levels of cadmium and lead, then we're good. Like we're okay. So that's all right. So that makes that cast iron a little bit easier to use. So again, I have no problem with that. I believe it can be safe. Again, it's just like you have to know the companies that you're ordering from. That's it. Can we trust this company? Yes or no? So the nice thing about cast iron is that, it really can be heated up. Like you can really put that. Well, let me give you the next example. So we have cast iron pans in our house in Maine, and we do use them. We have an old school outside wood oven, and it's fantastic. You can heat that up 1,000+ degrees if you wanted to. If you wanted to, we don't, but you could. And so here's the thing. Cast iron can work great in that. And so we use cast iron. Now, we don't use it all the time. And so the great thing about cast iron is that you can get a Dutch oven, you can get cast iron pans, you can get a skillet, and you can cook your favorite meats and different things like that, as long as you season that pan and also that you just don't over scrub it. And I'm going to give you one more tip in just a minute. So cast iron pans can be absolutely fantastic. They really can. You cook some really great dishes in that. Now, there's pros and cons. So let me give you the pros and cons, because these aren't as straightforward. Cast iron, just the word alone means iron, right? You're going to get some iron from using cast iron, and I'll teach you how you can get less or more in just a moment. So the benefits of using cast iron, especially for women, premenopausal, can actually be getting more iron into your diet through cooking in cast iron-based pans. So if you are anemic or you are, again, female menstruating-based woman, then you can actually get benefits from this. Men have to be a little bit more careful of iron-based buildup in the body. Not an easy way to eliminate it as a male. So, or I would say postmenopausal woman as well. So again, I'm a fan of cast iron pans, but I wouldn't use them for daily use. I would use them for occasional use, and you can get a lot of benefit from cooking in that type of pan, especially for the population of people that I just spoke about. Now, here are some of the potential drawbacks with cast iron. Is that, well, one is you could have the iron toxicity. So if you are a male, an adult male, or a postmenopausal woman, you may actually build up some level of iron toxicity. Now, you can test for these things every 6 months to a year to see if it's actually happening, and it probably won't with most people, especially with occasional cast iron use. So again, we use it. I have no issues with iron overuse or overload in my body. You can do, again, a blood test with your doctor. You can do a test, the hair tissue mineral analysis right over at Equilife as well. So, all right, so we have that part of it. The second part is with cast iron is that there is potential that when you cook, let's say, a tomato sauce, or you're adding a vinegar, or you're adding any acidic food to it, like lemon, squeezed lemon, any of those things, that the acidity in that food can actually react with the pan itself. And what can happen is there can be more leaching, even more iron pulled into the food, as well as potentially cadmium with the enamel-based pans, because some of that enamel is clay-based, right? So if it's clay-based, that means there's potential, because clay is essentially dirt from the environment, that there may be lead, again, totally natural, right? Because lead is in the soil. You can't avoid lead completely in the soil. It is one of the natural elements. We just don't want lead toxicity. That's the issue, right? Cadmium, natural element. The problem is too much cadmium, well, it can lead to some really devastating effects for the nervous system as well as the brain. Plus, cadmium can be actually a bigger problem for pregnant women, because it can actually begin to leach calcium from their bones, but also pass into the unborn child. So, really, we want to be careful of cadmium buildup. Again, I recommend the minerals and metals test over at Life. It's a great one to run, or also the heavy metal toxicity test is an even better one if you just want to look at metals, right? So if you don't want to look at all of your minerals, electrolytes, etc., that would be on the hair tissue mineral analysis called the minerals and metals test. If you just want the heavy metals as well as the thyroid metals, then check out the heavy metal toxicity test, which is a great one. All of these can be done right at home. But again, this is why functional medicine lab testing is so important. How would you know if you're ever building up all of these heavy metals that conventional medicine and unknowing MDs like to tell us that doesn't exist, yet we know leads to all these different diseases in children and adults and unborn children as well. So again, please always take what conventional medicine says with a grain of salt. Use the best of what they know for acute-based medicine, but use natural health for everything else, right? I mean, I love when doctors say, your body comes equipped with a liver, that's all the detox that you need. Well, I mean, again, if you're reading the research and the science, apparently that's not true because we see all of these toxicities build up in people all the time. So if our liver did everything that it needed to all the time, well then why are we building up all of these toxicities, right? So you can run a minerals and metals test, you can run a heavy metal test, you can run an environmental test, and you can see that our liver is not able to keep up with the 77,000+ man-made chemicals in the environment. So I'm again, like, I apologize if I'm, coming off a little strong to conventional medicine, but this is not your forte. So again, I think, we have to be a little bit careful what we're speaking on, right? All right. So again, big benefits to cast iron. I really think it can be beneficial. And for occasional use, absolutely amazing. I really do. Again, we use them in my family. Okay. So now what else can you have on the kind of generic safe side? All right. Well, stainless steel pans, even if they have an aluminum core, your body and food will never touch the aluminum because the aluminum's on the inside, which kind of leads to a more even cooking and allows the pan to be a little bit lighter. Now, you can get completely stainless steel, doesn't need an aluminum core, but I always get the question, if my stainless steel pans have an aluminum core, is that okay? And the answer is yes. Like you're going to be okay with that. Still don't recommend metal scraping, like a metal spatula scraping a stainless steel pan, because do keep in mind that inside of that stainless steel pan, there's still nickel and chromium that can break down and come into the food a little bit. Now, is it so bad to get a little extra nickel? Not really. I mean, it can lead to toxicity for sure, built up. Every once in a while, we see it on our minerals and metals test where someone's nickel starts to get a little higher, and all we do is recommend a different pan, different spatula. Of course, we look at other elements as well, like cadmium buildup, etc. But then there's also chromium. Chromium, I don't have as much of an issue with. I really don't. Chromium, I prefer it from more natural sources, that's for sure, but certainly can have some benefits in the body. So stainless steel, pretty non-toxic for the most part. It is still a metal, but it does heat evenly. There's really no major issues with it. It's typically the least expensive out of them, so you can get a good economical stainless steel pan. But again, like not my favorite, but really good. Again, I have no issues with people using stainless steel pans. And so there you go. Stainless steel is okay. Now, the next ones I want to go over are kind of some of the favorites, and that is ceramic cookware. So now with the ceramic cookware, you just want to make sure, again, that it's lead-free, that it's cadmium-free, and that it's non-toxic, right? That it doesn't contain the let's get back to those, the PFOAs and the PTFEs, right? So we want to make sure that it does not contain any of those chemicals and carcinogens, and ceramic cookware can be a really nice and sturdy cookware that can be heated at high temperatures as well without the issues of leaching into the food. So just look for the no titanium dioxide. Be careful of any glazing on these ceramic-based pans, and I'll link up my favorite non-toxic varieties. Well, in two places, StephenCabral.com/1720. There'll also be the podcast on aluminum there to watch out for that, and many other different products and why we need to watch out for it. But then also you can find all my favorite recommendations from companies all over the world at StephenCabral.com/resources. So those will be there as well. And that will always be updated every single year as we're using better and better products. Okay. So again, the ones that I recommend today are always going to be healthy, right? Unless the company changes the way they manufacture it, then of course we will change our recommendation. But I like to be able to always be current and kind of provide you with, hey, this is what I'm using right now. So we always give you what my family and I use and what we've researched to be healthy. So there you go. Ceramic cookware can be a great option, a really nice way to cook as well. Okay, 2 more great ones that we use. The next one is stoneware. So basically using a stone to cook. This can be excellent for baking. You can actually cook fish on a stone, chicken on a stone. You can do all of these different things on that. And this is a really great way. And we use this actually in our wood oven to cook right on a stone. So this can be a great way to cook if you've never cooked on a stone before. Highly recommend looking at that as well. It's a great alternative to aluminum baking sheets or roasting pans, and a great way also to have the food that you're cooking actually bake up in a little bit different of a way. So I believe the stones, since they can hold a lot of heat, can cook really evenly and crisp up a lot of those veggies. And if you're cooking like a pan roasted chicken or baking on it, it can be actually quite nice. So definitely check that out. Stoneware, great varieties. I will link up my favorites. And the last one, not only is it great for baking, without a doubt, again, you can bake anything that you really want in this. We've done salmon in it. You can bake like dessert-based recipes in it, but it's also great for storage, and that's glassware. So if you've never used like a Pyrex, I mean, there's other great varieties. I think that most people know that one, or Corningware. Those can be some good varieties. I will always update my top recommendations. So do check out again episode 1720 or stephencabral.com/resources. But this is a great way. Again, of course, you want to get lead-free glass. You want to be careful of anything's kind of manufactured in China. Again, I'm not picking on China, but there can sometimes be a lot of lead in the different items manufactured over there. So again, could be okay. I'm not saying that it's not. We just want to check. That's all. We just want to make sure that they're toxic free. So besides that, again, I gave you using wood spatulas, using bamboo spatulas, using ceramic spatulas. Like all of these are great to be using. Get rid of the plastic spatulas. 100% get rid of the plastic spatulas. Get rid of the aluminum spatulas as well. Use something that is much more environmentally friendly, as well as non-toxic for your body. So my top picks, definitely glassware, stoneware, ceramic cookware, stainless steel pans can be okay. Just, look for, again, the non-toxic varieties. Make sure there's no non-stick added to it. And then I do believe that cast iron can be great. It really can be great for occasional cooking with that, whether that be a traditional Dutch oven or your cast ironware that you can use, especially for cooking your favorite dishes at a nice heat. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, I would love to hear what you use, the brands that you use. Feel free to share them right over at Instagram. My account is just my name, Stephen Cabral. Feel free to leave it on today's episode, as well as in the community group, which is cabralsupportgroup.com. Thank you so much. Again, if this podcast was helpful, as always, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp hearts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.